Is there any concern in the White House that the embrace of the Fed's use of transitory at best makes your job more complicated month over month to explain what's going on with inflation? At worst, could be misleading for folks who don't necessarily get that transitory may mean a year or longer?
Well, the way we view it is that it's important to preserve the independence of the Federal Reserve, and that can give the American people and the markets confidence in what their projections and their predictions are. And that's long been how these issues have been approached throughout history. And we think that's important to continue that trend. Transitory, I guess I don't have an assessment of how many people know exactly what that means or what that means to them. We know that what the Federal Reserve and Wall Street economists and others are projecting is that the rate of inflation will come down next year. What that means is that as people have seen these increase in some costs of goods over the course of the last year or so, as the economy is turning back on, and as I would note, we were turning from a period of time where the unemployment rate was high, people didn't have a lot of excess money and wages to spend on goods, so naturally the demand has come up over the course of the last year, that is the projection is it's coming down. So I wouldn't say it's complicated as for us. We look at things over the long term, and we know that if the American people, businesses, the markets can rely on the independence of the Federal Reserve, that's good for the economy and good for the integrity of that.
I think to put a finer point on it, I just mean that everyone was saying transitory in February and March. I understand the nuance and the economics of what's going on here.
Yes, I know you do.
But when the deceleration is happening slower perhaps than people expected a few months ago, and people are still paying 10 or 15 or 20% more for meat, and they're saying, why was it supposed to be transitory 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and we're still here? Does that make things more difficult to explain as to why this is the case?
Well, it requires us explaining, and through working with all of you as well, that the cost of meat is also related to competition and the small number of large meat producers who have a dominance over the market, and the fact that a lot of these issues are not as simple as a one-sentence explanation, and that different industries have different issues in the supply chains, different issues that are causing some increases in prices, and also because we all understand the American people are not looking at cost-to-cost comparisons from this year to 2 years ago. They're looking at cost-to-cost comparisons to their checkbooks from 8 months ago or 12 months ago. And even though factually, if you look back to 2 years ago, things may be comparative, that's not how people look at things. So our objective here is to tackle each of these issues with the approach that we think will help address it in the shortest term.
And just one more